Swinging onto the gaming stage with heightened expectations, fueled by the success of its predecessor, Spider-Man 2 delivers a visually stunning experience that undeniably captures the essence of a superhero video game. However, beneath the glittering surface of big-budget success lies a narrative and gameplay experience that warrants a critical examination. I want to clarify at the beginning that I thoroughly enjoyed the 2018 title, and I also found the Miles Morales spin-off quite captivating. Let's delve into the narrative first. Despite my initial concerns about an overloaded plot with characters lost in the shuffle, especially since the inclusion of Venom is often more of a negative for me than anything else Spider-Man related. I always look everything with an open eye before something comes out, and I had a certain trust in the Insomniac team. But unfortunately, I now have to confirm those apprehensions. While Miles proves to be a captivating character, the presence of Venom often eclipses with Peter's journey, causing a disruption in the narrative flow. For instance, in the final third of the story, there is a sudden recall of Miles' unresolved storylines, and their resolution feels hastily assembled, lacking a seamless coherence within the overall narrative. It sometimes feels very unbalanced as to what is now recognized as important and what is not. I was most attached to the side quests in terms of the story, whether it was Miles or Peter, because they also had little emotional moments that gave way more the feeling of the friendly spider from the neighborhood. The story's unbalanced focus on certain elements, such as the underutilization of interactions with police and fire departments, leaves a void that diminishes the sense of collaboration between the Spideys and the city. Just to name the beginning on the original with Fisk, it felt a lot more like the city wanted to work with Spidey and also wanted his help. The storytelling at times leans towards forcing moments rather than providing substantial reasons for their occurrence. Kraven, for instance, feels like a mere accessory to facilitate Venom's existence, with moments designed to appeal to a particular audience. On a positive note, the theme of villains seeking rehabilitation adds an intriguing layer to the narrative, highlighting the grey areas between good and evil, and there are also high risks involved, as some characters don't actually make it out alive at the end of the game. On the whole, it's a solid story that is told, but for someone like me who can recognize some patterns from a distance, it was sometimes very boring and was happy when some sequences were over. Nonetheless, individual preferences vary, and others may find the experience more enjoyable. Still, I sometimes wondered where the writers of the predecessors had gone. And yes, they are not the same, and it's noticeable. At least where the story ends gives me hope that it could still be interesting of what's to come. Now, what about the gameplay? Well, that's the most puzzling thing for me, because I thought it would be just as good as ever, at least as far as the combat system is concerned. It's really more simplified than in previous games. The suits you can unlock are now only cosmetic, so there is no slot with a skill like before and no real incentive to unlock them. While I understand that some enjoy frequently changing costumes, personally I prefer maintaining thematic consistency within the world. Nonetheless, I appreciate collecting costumes in the previous games due to the unique abilities they offered. On the other hand, the gadgets are now reduced to 4 and are the same regardless of whether you play Pete or Miles. There is simply less room to find your own playstyle, and most abilities and gadgets are just for crowd control only, especially in the last third of the game, where you have all the upgrades, almost plays itself because there is hardly any strategizing left to have. Pure button mashing. Of course, it's a mainstream title that has to appeal to the masses, and I would certainly accept that if we didn't have better balancing before, and would argue there are difficulty levels for that. While the combat system is still fluid and enjoyable, it's just lacking innovation compared to its predecessor. I would even cynically say it's a dilution. But what has been improved in return is that you can now make swinging through the city more difficult, with no assists and even fall damage, which makes the whole thing all the more exhilarating. The new wingsuit negates that a little, but I think this idea is very noteworthy because it increases the flow of navigation through the city even more. The fluidity and responsiveness of controlling both Spideys create a sense of cheerfulness that's unmatched. The addition of new acrobatic maneuvers and tricks adds depth to the traversal, making every swing a joy. Also, a nice touch is the ability to switch both Spideys with just a button press outside of story missions. New York, of course, is a visual treat, with ray tracing and fast load times enhancing the experience. The game's cutscenes showcase remarkable technical prowess, exemplified by moments like Miles being propelled across multiple city blocks at the game's outset, seamlessly transitioning back to the gameplay. Additionally, the real-time location changes occur effortlessly, free from loading constraints. However, these advancements come at a price. The image quality has suffered a slight blow in comparison to previous titles. While there is a noticeable boost in graphical fidelity, it primarily caters to a discerning eye of the most knowledgeable individuals. For example, reflections in reflections is nice to have, rather than really striking in my opinion. While acknowledging the studio's commendable efforts, the advancement from the previous game Miles Morales is somewhat less conspicuous in the overall presentation. I believe it would have been preferable for the emphasis to lean more towards enhancing picture quality and frame rate, rather than other aspects. Nevertheless, the implementation of the 220Hz mode stands out for its 40fps fluidity and graphical prowess. It's a good mix of both worlds, and a neat compromise if 60fps with all bells and whistles is no longer possible. On a console, regrettably, I could only capture this experience in 1080p for you. The side quests and collectibles are honestly the best thing in the game, adding depth to the open world experience and, as in previous titles, always gives context as why you do these activities. I would even say the best in the series, because often it ends with a strong stinger when everything is done. The game's length may leave some players wanting more. It's a tick shorter than the 2018 title after all. While the main story is engaging, it lends itself to a swift completion, and the side activities, while fun, might not be enough to sustain every player's interest in the long term. But I would say it's better to have less than too much fluff. The soundtrack takes a backseat, lacking memorable tracks found in its predecessors. They try again to emphasize when you play as Peter or Miles, but nothing was really noticeable for me this time. The balance between storytelling and open world exploration make it a game that caters to a wide range of player preferences, and it's definitely a very entertaining game. I recognize that my critique may come across as harsh, because I voiced concerns about the simplified gameplay and other things, fully acknowledging that my perspective is in the minority, as recency bias is swelling the masses these days, but that's what reviews are for, to see perspectives and not to swim along in an echo chamber. While it sure is a must-play for fans of the superhero genre, a good showcase of the PlayStation 5's capabilities, and in the core a very solid game, it doesn't quite reach the heights set by its predecessors. As a passionate gamer who values the intelligence of players, I couldn't shake the feeling that this installment missed an opportunity for a more nuanced and engaging title. Despite this, my hope lingers for a future release that will offer a more captivating experience. I hope you found this review helpful and insightful. Don't forget to hit the like or dislike button, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell for more. I would love to hear your thoughts, share your experiences or any questions you may have in the comments below. Also consider to throw a few pennies to my Patreon. Your support would go a long way in making this channel the best it can be. Until then, stay curious, stay awesome.